Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to have you here. I have been requested to share how I go about making my monthly journals and just talk about them a little bit. So I have pulled out some stuff here. I've got my pages kind of sorted. I'll go through those in a minute. But first of all, I thought we might go ahead and kind of make the cover together. Let me just find a spot there for my pages to go. Right. I've got myself a big hot chocolate. It's 10 AM here. It is dead cold. It's freezing. It's autumn here in New Zealand. Excuse me. And yeah, it's freezing. I've got my little electric blanket that you can see here on my knee. I'm trying to keep me warm because my craft room doesn't have any heating in it. So it's a very cold room in our house. And the sun doesn't kind of get around until a bit later in the afternoon to try and start warming it up. So it's cold this morning. But I wanted to share with you guys how I go about making my monthly journals. So you've seen my journals before. If you're new and you haven't seen them, there's plenty of videos here on my channel about them. I have my, my April journal. It is getting incredibly chunky. It's almost the end of the month now. I think, yeah, I finished up till the 26th in here. Today's the 28th, so I'll finish up my 27th day about yesterday. Today I'll probably journal that. I typically do journal about the day before in my journal, because then I have all my photos, whatever I want, and I know exactly what happened throughout the day. So, and sometimes it could be days later that I journal about the day. But I do journal about every day, at least something about every day. So I make a journal for myself each month. I've got a massive collection of journals. Now I've been doing this since January 2020. So we've done all of 2020, all of 2021, and we're going into 2022. Obviously now we're almost halfway through 2022, you know, not quite, but it's May. June is halfway through, so we're getting close. So I thought I would share with how I make them. First up, I just get a piece of, for me anyway, my journal size is A5. That's my typical size that I always run with. It's my favorite size. It just works really well for me. So to make A5, I get an A4 sheet of cardstock. It's very, like, it's not a thick card. It's just sort of a really heavy paper, I guess, almost. You could use anything, like, you don't have to have cardstock like this. You could use some packaging, whatever, a cereal box. I personally prefer something slightly thinner than that. I used like some thicker kind of cardstock for this. You can see here it doesn't sort of bend quite the same as this one does. This one can really bend a lot. I hope you can really see that. But that one bends quite a lot. This one is quite stiff. And I have found that made it a lot more difficult to use. So a very light card or a thick paper that kind of has enough flex in it is personally what I think is the best. So I just fold it in half and then bam, we've got my cover basically. I only make one signature in my journals. They're just for 1 month, so I can fit it all into one signature. One very hefty signature, but one signature nonetheless. So that will be the base of my cover. Really that simple to make myself a cover for my monthly journals. Really super easy. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to decorate it, because I like to just get that all done to start with before I bind in any of the papers, because it's going to be much harder to do stuff on the cover when it's all full and chunky, and you can't flatten it out as easily like this. So now that it's really flat, I can see where my middle line is, so I know you know, how I want to set things out on the cover compositionally. Like I might, if I'd had it all flat and I'd put something right here, then I went to fold it and I found that it folded the picture in half. I might not have wanted that, so now I've got that line, I can know, you know, how I kind of want to set it onto my page to make it work. So let's go ahead and do some decorating. So what I will normally do, it's very typical of me, is go through my scrap papers and just glue down, as this one you can see here, it's actually coming up a little bit. I just glue down a whole lot of scrap paper onto the base of the cardstock, and then I will add my focal image or focal images depending on what I'm feeling like. So I've got a scrap bin of paper just beside me. I will show that to you. Just give me a second because it actually has some stuff on it. So here we go. This is a big bin of scrap paper that I'm going to dig through and find some bits that I want to decorate my cover with. So I'm just going to keep that down beside me so that it's not taking up my filming space. But I will show you obviously what I'm pulling out. You will get to see that. So this journal I'm making is for May. So it's autumn here in New Zealand. So I'm going to probably be pulling some slightly more autumnally looking pieces. I just feel like that makes sense. To have my journal kind of matching the season a little bit. I don't always do that. Sometimes I will just do, if I've got a specific something in mind, I'll just do whatever. But right now I'm feeling those autumn vibes today. It's very cold, like I said, and I'm just feeling like I want those warm autumny colours. Excuse me, I am going to keep sipping my drink because I always get a drink right before I film and then find it's so cold right at the end of it. So I'm going to keep going with my drink while I'm filming and chatting with you. So I was requested to share how I make my journals and, you know, a little bit about them. And I just thought I would talk to you guys a little about it. So, like I said, I've been doing these since January. I'm going to start ripping, actually. I've been doing these since January of 2020. So, it was before the pandemic even began. I started doing these. And it was because I was moving house at that time. I moved to the house that I'm currently living in January 2020. And I had sort of had to pack up my craft room, and I have a lot of stuff. I crafted every day. I was a journal maker, but I didn't actually journal myself at that time. And I, had to pack up everything. So I didn't have any supplies out with me, really. Like, I just couldn't journal every day. And I was getting really kind of low without my crafting that I could do every day. So I ended up I still had some stuff out, but I just didn't have time to journal, like create journals all the time because I was busy packing. Whenever we move, it falls quite heavily on me to do the packing because I work part-time and my husband works full-time. So it does make sense that I do a lot of the work with the packing and whatnot. But it just meant that, like I just didn't have the time to create anymore. All of my free time was going into packing, and so I was getting kind of low and just missing creativity. So I made myself a little journal. I'll actually, can I see it up on my shelf? Yes, I can. 1 minute and I'll just grab it to share that with you guys. So this was the journal I made for myself. Just it's exactly the same format, really, is what I'm doing, except for I didn't intend for it to become a monthly thing. This was just going to be you can do a page in this journal. This is starting to rip a little bit. It is quite old. You can just do a page in this journal every day if you want to, as just something to be a little bit creative. So I had a wee box of supplies beside my bed, and just like some book pages, some pictures, some pens, just a few little things that I had around me beside my bed. And at night time, after I'd done all my packing and I was dead tired, I would sit on my bed and I would just stick in a few things and write about my day. And that was the beginning of the end. From then I was hooked and I needed to journal every day. I obviously didn't, like, this was the 20th and this was the 24th, so I didn't journal every single day, but I journaled when I had enough time, and it was almost every day because I was so needing a creative outlet. It was just work and packing, and I just needed something creative to do to, you know, fill up my soul. So I just, I just did a little page here and there when I could, and I fell in love with the process of journaling. I just absolutely love it, and I honestly make a lot less journals now because a lot of my crafting time is spent journaling myself. It's my passion. I love it. And so this was my little first journal that I had that I actually filled up myself, and I love this one. This is what started me on this journey, and this is probably my favorite ever journal. Honestly, I love it. So that, I just want to share that journal with you. Very same process I made for that one is what we're doing here today, pretty much. So I just rip up my scrapbooks paper. Everybody, well not everybody I guess, but anyone who's been paper crafting for very long at all will have some paper scraps around. They are inevitable and they are multiplying and they are insane. So most crafty people will have some paper scraps. I am quite sure of that. And if you don't, if you're brand new to this and you don't have a lot of paper scraps, you can find stuff. You can use old magazines, you can use old newspapers, you can use junk mail, you can use pictures you print off the internet. Anything like that you can use and then tear them up or however you want to do it and stick them down on a piece of cardstock. It's really that simple to get the base layer of your cover done. Right, let's keep looking. What else do I want in here? So while I am, you know, working on the cover here, some things to think about in your journal for making this journal is like, what things do you have coming up in this month? Do you have any like specific events or something that are happening? Because, sorry, that's my X-Acto knife. Because if you have something really specific that's going to be happening, you might want to sort of plan for that in the pages that you choose for your journal. Like in the month of March, for me personally, there's not really a lot that happens. I know that my niece is turning 1, so I know that there'll be a special day in my journal that I want to document about that for sure. But like I'm not going on any trips. I don't have any big events planned. When I do have bigger things, I like to include like maybe more envelopes and pockets and things like that, because I know I might have a lot of stuff that I want to tuck in. But for me, it's just a quiet little month at home really, which is just lovely. So let's find where I want to stick this. So yeah, it's always good to kind of think about, I mean, there's always going to be some surprises. Who knows? Maybe I will go away in May. Maybe my husband will surprise me and take me on an amazing vacation. It seems unlikely, but you never know. But I like to kind of have something of an idea, if there's something big happening, what it might be, you know? There's some very crumply wrapping paper, which I adore this wrapping paper. So beautiful. Wrapping paper, that's another good one to use if you're not a big paper craft, like if you're just getting into paper crafting and you don't know what to use. Wrapping paper is really good. It's nice and thin as well, so it's really good for collaging because it doesn't bulk things up too much. It's really nice. I love using wrapping paper actually. Now that I've said that, I have some wrapping paper just over there that I want to grab. Right, so this is the wrapping paper I wanted to have a look at because I think this has got some beautiful autumny vibes and I would love to include some of this. So I'm going to just tear it off there so I'm not using the whole roll, and I'll pop that back over there. I've kind of got a tub of wrapping paper rolls over just that way. But I kind of want to use some of this. I love this little hedgehog dude down the bottom here. Let's just rip him off. He could go somewhere around here. I don't want all of it to be this paper. I just want a bit because I want to kind of keep all of my scraps similar sizes and sort of shapes, if you know what I mean. So he's going to go on the cover like that because he's a cutie. And he fits really well down there. So let's glue him down. I like him a lot. And then I think I'm going to try and use some of this up here, because this doesn't really have a direction. There's no animals or faces on this part. It's just sort of some leaves, so I can flip it upside down and that's okay. It's not really directional. And I like to use some of the same bits maybe twice across both sides a little bit. It just sort of helps add a bit of continuity to it. I'm going to go ahead and add this little bit down this bottom corner. I think I'm just using glue stick, and glue stick I have found to be absolutely fine. I occasionally, and I think I'm, depending on what I stick on the cover, may end up going over the whole thing with packing tape. Not everyone will like that look because it is very shiny and a little bit like, you know, tape looking, but I do like that look, so it doesn't bother me. But I've just really found with this April journal, this focal image, I don't know if you can see it, but it's gotten so grubby and I can't clean it. When I try and wash it, it smudges the image a little bit. So I just am thinking I'm going to packing tape this one, depending on what image I stick on it, just to kind of keep it a little bit less filthy, because I prefer my journals less filthy. I don't know about you, but I don't love it when my journals look like a grubby mess. I hope you guys are all doing well and you're really looking forward to May. I don't actually know when this video is going to go up, if it will be May already when you see this, or if it will be still the end of April. I haven't got myself too sorted yet with scheduling things. I think I'm going to add this great big bit of yellow on the side there. This paper is like a yellow kind of tissue. Well, it's not tissue though, it's sort of like plasticky almost. I don't know exactly what this type of paper is, but I love it. It's so crinkly and beautiful. So let's try and line up that straight edge there. It can overlap a bit because I can trim it off. That's totally fine. So I love that colour, that yellow, that kind of bright but also like honey mustardy kind of yellow. Ooh, I love it. It's so pretty. Okay, what else do I want to add? Because I do want to fill all of it in. Do I have anything else in my bin of scraps here that I'm into, that I'm feeling? I would kind of like to add some of my own painty paper actually. So here's a wee painty paper scrap that works quite well, and it's got some glitter on it, which is just delicious. I am a big glitter lover. Alright, let's stick that piece on. I like that. It really matches that other yellow kind of tissue-ish paper. Tissue-ish. It's a fun word. It matches it quite well. Let's go ahead and add a bit of it on the front too. I think we're going to just have to rip it right down, maybe across here. I think we'll do that. I'm not really too fussed about like this looking perfect and amazing. Like this is just, I think because it's just for a month. Like for me, I'm not going to be in this journal all year. I am not going to be in it for the rest of my life. You know, like it's just a month that I'm in this journal. It's not a big deal. Like in a month, if I hate it, it's fine, because I will be putting it on the shelf and moving on to something new in a month's time. So I am pretty like low stress about how these turn out. Like, oh, I really like, I want them to look good, obviously. No one makes something thinking, I hope this looks terrible. But if it doesn't look perfect, I'm not beating myself up about it. I'm kind of okay with however it turns out. It'll be fine. What else is in here? Oh, I have this kind of fun printable from Jenny May June. I'm not sure if I want to add that though. It's quite focal imagey. It's not just like background scrap that I'm kind of looking for. What's up in this bin in front of me here? I've got so many scrap paper bins. It's ridiculous. Actually, I know what I want to use. I want to pull from one of my printable sets. So these are a bunch of printables from me and from Jen and from Tiffany, Julia. So there's a bunch of different printables in here that I need to go through and cut up. But what I'm looking for is some of the printables I have, here they are at the back, on Patreon. So what I have been doing is I make these journal cards for my patrons. So where is the one that has all of them? So each month they get, I don't know, it just depends however many I make. But for a lot of months maybe they might get 8. So you would cut out each of the journal cards. So I make all of these journal cards, and then I also give them the journal cards in a larger size. So they get them in, you know, this kind of size here, which is like A6. So you get A7 cards, A6 cards, and then I also give them A4 copies, or just standard printer copies, and they can be torn up and used as awesome fun collage fodder. So I've got these like big copies of the journal cards that I make, and then they can be torn up and shredded and made into collage. So I'm really feeling drawn to this one right now. So we might be able to sort of shred up parts of this. I'm liking that. I'm liking this. That's looking good. So we might be able to sort of stick that on maybe there. I don't want to cover my hedgehog guy though, so make sure I don't do that. I don't want to just get carried away and cover them all up. No, that looks alright. He's still visible there. What else do I want? Maybe some of this one. Yeah, I kind of want to add some of these letters. I think they look kind of cool. I might add them in here. Upside down is all good with me because they're not a focal point. They're just background collage. So yeah, for my patrons, you get a lot of really great sheets that you can use in collage. You can rip up and use them in collage, or you also get like printable images like this, or you can use them as journaling cards. There's lots of options. So just in case you're kind of new to Patreon, or you're thinking about trying to find someone to patron and to look, you know, to support, I am just letting it be known that I have a Patreon and that those things are an option there. I'm going to stick this little wood grain piece on. This is quite low in my glue stick. Going to pull it out a bit more. There we go. Okay, stick that on there. It's quite thick, that paper, so it's a little bit tougher than some others. Right, I think I want to add a bit more. Let's add a bit of this. See, I love using these journal cards as collage fodder. It doesn't quite... Yeah, okay, I'm going to go there. That can work there. Alright, what else do I need? I think I need some, maybe like book page or something. What have we got here? Here we go, we've got some book text. I think that's a nice kind of neutral kind of paper that can be added in when you don't care if it gets covered. You just sort of want something. What else? Where do we want to put this? There we go. That can go there. So we've got a few little bits that we need to find something for. So let's pop you there. Scoot it. Nope, it's going there. Okay. We'll just try and cover that little white patch up with either a bit of paper or the focal images when we put them down. I could use some more of this beautiful wax paper actually. My sister is a flower farmer slash somewhat of a florist. She wouldn't ever call herself a florist because she's not professionally trained, but she is very talented at it, and she sells beautiful, beautiful bouquets. And she lets me use her offcuts of her florist wax paper. Look at it. It's so cool because it's like just sort of flat there, and then you crinkle it and it sticks together really well. But then when you open it, oh, the crinkles on it are just so delicious. I love them. Okay, we're going to get a nice big bit for in here. That's too big. We just want a little something there. That looks good. But yeah, I am so lucky. My sister gives me all her offcuts of this because I love it. I love this wax paper that she uses on her bouquets. And then we'll add that tiny scrap on there, I think. That's looking real good. Okay. Cover is mostly complete there. What I'm just going to do now is flip it, and you can see where the excess paper is around the edge. And so I just simply trim it down. Very easy. Just going to trim all that extra. You don't have to do this if you want to keep it, or you could fold it in. I've done that occasionally. It's just up to you. Don't really think it matters. Just whatever you want to do. Your journal is your journal, and honestly, there's no wrong way of making a journal. You can't do this wrong. Anything that you do is right. So there we go. There's our fold. So I can choose now, I guess, if I wanted it to be this way or this way. And I'm going to stick with it going that way because I think that we're going to be adding more focal images to the cover, and this has less going on than this one. But there will still be something on the back. So these were some pieces I kind of pulled out earlier that I thought might be kind of interesting to add to my journal. This embroidery flower iron-on thing I have had since I was like maybe 11, 10. I don't know. I've had it forever, and I just found it again this afternoon. It is the daytime right now. I found it yesterday afternoon, I think, and it's just like a sticker iron-on thing, but I'm thinking I want to add that to my cover because it's gorgeous. I have these butterfly pictures. Maybe I could add those and this little flower iron-on. Got this gorgeous crystal. I'm not quite sure that this is working with the vibes. It's not the right colours. I've got this great cheese, the glue that holds my life together sticker from Redbubble. I'm thinking I might use that maybe on the back. I have this postcard which I thought was super cute, but it's going to cover up my hedgehog. It is too big, so I think I'm not going to use that one. I like these butterflies, but there's also this really cute little mushroom which could work. I'm thinking I'm going with the butterflies and the flower on the front, and then I'm thinking on the back I'm going to stick this Redbubble sticker because I love this. And it deserves a prime spot like on the cover of my journal, I think. So let's just go ahead and stick that sticker on right now. This cheese is my life. I love cheese with all of my heart. So let's just go ahead and whack that on there. Love it. Love it. Okay, over the front here, I kind of want to add this butterfly piece in here, and then I'm going to stick that iron on. And then what I've been doing all year so far has been adding a little like label which has the month and the year on it. So I'm going to continue with that theme. I've got my little labels up here. I think I'm probably going to go with a red for this month. I'm just thinking that's going to match the colours the best. So I think that's what we're going to do. So let's get this glued on. Don't overthink it. Don't freak yourself out about it too much. It is just a journal for yourself, particularly. It's just a journal. It's just to fill up with your own thoughts in your life. It's important, but it's not important really what it looks like. It's more important that you use it. Okay, that's stuck on. Let's actually get out my little alpha stamps. And what colour ink do we want to use on here? I'm thinking maybe my brown one. Let's see if I can find that. Where are you, little brown ink? Found them. So we've got the archival, Ranger Archival. You don't need this ink. This is just the one I have. There is nothing that you need really for journaling. You can do it in so many different ways. Okay, I don't want to cover up that little hedgehog. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it'll go up there or here. I don't know. Doesn't matter. So it's May, and I always, when I'm doing stuff like that, I like to start with the middle letter so that I can kind of evenly work my way out from there, if that makes sense. And I need a little scrap of paper. Actually, I'll grab one out from my bin behind me. Here's a scrap of paper just to stamp off my stamps here. I hope that this video is going to be helpful for you if you're trying to figure out how to make a journal. It's going to be long. I can tell already it's going to be a long one. But I hope that it's helpful in getting started, because I know sometimes when you just find junk journaling and you want to start, it can be really overwhelming. And a lot of people are making these enormous, like, multi-signature, incredible journals. And that is actually what I started off with too, to be honest. I need to find that journal. I wonder where it is. I need to find it and share that, because I don't think I've ever actually shown my first ever junk journal that I made, which would be quite fun to share. And actually fun to look at and see how much has changed, because I know a lot has, because a lot of people, when they start, they find junk journals through these like real vintage, really elaborate kind of junk journals, and they are beautiful. Do not get me wrong. I think they're stunning, but they're not the only way to go about it. And I think a lot of people kind of get stuck in this vintage style, thinking that that is the way you junk journal, and it doesn't have to be, but it can be. So really, it just depends on your own preference, and any option is good. So let's go ahead and stick this on. This is quite sticky. It's supposed to be ironed on, but I think it might just stick, honestly. So I've got to kind of just line up what I want to do with this. I think I want to put it on after I've stuck the label down. Let's get this off. Perfect. And then this little flower is going on right there. Oh, I probably should have... That's okay. I'm probably not going to be able to tape everything with packing tape with that on it though. That's alright though. I might still, because I know these Redbubble stickers get grotty, I might packing tape over the back part because I know that will get gross. This might be fine as it is. So, that's alright. Like I've said, it is just my journal. It's not a child or my husband or my pet. You know, it's not anything that's super crucial. It's just my journal. I love my journal and I get a lot of joy out of it, but it doesn't actually matter what it looks like. Let's see if I can... Oh, it's all wonky donks. Let's get a little bit of packing tape here. And just remove that paper off of it. And we're going to just go ahead and put some packing tape down over that Redbubble sticker, because I do just know that those Redbubble stickers get gross. They're better off with a bit of tape on them just to keep them a bit more secure. And honestly, I really like the way packing tape looks. Is that weird? I don't know. It's what I like. There we go. Packing tape on. Cheese is now secure. So there we go, guys. We've got our cover done. That's my cover for May. I kind of am feeling like something up here is a little missing. So I might think about like adding just like another tiny scrap of paper on. That might do it. That actually looks pretty good. So let's go with that. I just feel like that corner compositionally needed a little something something. And I think that this tiny little scrap is gonna just shift that yellow a little bit. Okay. Oh, it's not sticking well. There we go. It's probably because that is that really thick stuff. Thick, almost cardstock. That looks good to me. Looks good to my eye. I might actually, though, go in. Again, you don't need this. This is just something I like. But I'm going to just go in and use this paint pen. I'm using a Pilot Pin Tool paint pen. And just add some marks and paint pen to my cover. Just for another little layer. These marks are so like therapeutic to make. This is a new mark for me. I think it was the Bohemian Fairy I saw using this mark, but I haven't really done these like really repetitive kind of little lines like this much before, and it's one I've just in the last maybe like day or two started playing with, and I like it. I like it a lot. So just adding a few of those on to here, and we'll add some more going across the middle here. I'm unsure how this is going to work because that is on wax paper and it doesn't look like it wants to dry. Oh well, we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully okay. We're going to add a few of these marks in up here too. I don't think I'm going to go on to the focal image too much. I think I'm going to try and keep it off of there if I can. And then over here is going to be tricky because of that tape, but I can go up here. Alright, so I'm just going to add maybe a few. It works really nice, this paint pen on this yellow tissue paper. This is looking good. Right. Alrighty, I think that's probably, no, see, I'm just an obsessive person. I've started with marks and now I just want to make 900 marks all over the page and just obsessively continue them because they're so fun to make. Alright, that's going to just do, I think. No, do I want some down here? Okay. Putting the paint pen away. We're done. I'm going to just try and wait for this to dry a little bit, and then we're going to bind our journal together. Okay, so we're all dry, and actually that paint pen has worked totally fine on the wax paper, so yay for that. Over here I have my little binding supplies in this little box, but actually I've just remembered I wanted to talk through my paper pages choices with you guys. So over here I've got just like a little collection of some papers I've folded up in a couple of envelopes and things that's ready to go into this. So I just thought I'd walk you through what I do with paper selection. I am a junk journal person, so I like to have a good selection of different types of paper in my journals. There is no rules on this though. You can do whatever suits you. So I do use plain white copy paper. Some people do not like this. It's too bright white, it's not vintage looking, and that's not their style. Totally fine. It is my style. I like having some white paper to write on. I also like using some grid paper. Grid's some of my favorite to write on. I have these two different types. I've got like this green small grid and then this kind of vintage grid paper. So I'm adding those in. Here I have a book page with these beautiful roses on it. I am obsessing over roses at the moment, so I wanted to include that little book page as a page in my journal. This is like a little guest book page, and it's the way that it's long like this means that you can fold it and the lines are still the correct way. A lot of paper, if you fold it, the lines are going to start going vertical, which I don't mind. I sometimes will write on the side. Sometimes I'll just write across the lines. Who cares? It's my journal. But this one's cool because the lines go the correct way. I have just two little teeny 6x6. These are 6x6 scrapbooking papers, which I like adding in as like little mini pages. The back sides are often like, or whatever, you can put it whichever way you like, but you know, there's often like a teeny tiny mini flip part, which is cute. But I've got two scrapbooking papers. I pulled out two of those parts that we tore up before. These are more of those journal cards that I made into full pages. And I decided I liked them and I'm going to fold them and make them pages in this month's journal. So that's going in there. I have, what else do I have here? Oh, I've got a few pieces from my flow book for paper lovers. So they've got kind of neat prints and then a plain on the inside. This one has a neat print on this part and then some lines. These ones are going to be vertical lines and I can either write across them that way, doesn't matter, or I can just turn my paper around and write it up that way. Either way. Here I have, this is just these two pieces here are just some vintage book pages that are like the front and back. So they've got no writing on them, but they're nice and cream. Cream is my favorite paper color for my journals, but I'm fine with white too. This here is a great big envelope and it folds in half to make like a page, and it also means I can tuck some stuff in. If I wanted, I can cut down the end here and tuck stuff in this side too. And then I've got two just like standard envelopes. This one's a craft one with a window, and this is just like a black metallic-y one that you can use this part. So if you're putting your pages together, you fold that part over and you can just stitch it in or glue it however you like, and then you've got a little page with stuff to tuck in. Same with this one. And then I've also got this little bit of plastic pocket thing, so that will get bound in like this. So I'll have this little plastic pocket that I can stick a little card or something like a Project Life card or something into the little pocket. So those are what we're going to bind in. So now I'm going to get them set up so that they're ready to be bound. What I do with this is I try and mix them up. I don't want to have all my white pages together and then all my grid pages together, then all my scrapbooking paper pages together. I like to have them really varied throughout my journal. So we're going to start off, I think, with, let's just start off with this piece of grid. And then we open it to the middle. And then you're going to choose another piece that you think is going to look really good next to it. So I might choose this page here. That looks cute. And then what would look good? Would that one look good there? It's a lot going on. I think I'm going to choose something a little plainer. Maybe one of these grids might work. Yeah, that looks good. So I can see that I like the way they work together. And then we open that one up, and now we're going to pick something to put inside of here. So I'm going to choose something a little more patterned because this is sort of plainer, easier writing space. So pop that one in. This is kind of plain easy writing space too, so I could choose something again a little more patterned. I like how that looks. I think these colours really complement each other. Right, now opening up again. So we're going to sit them all inside each other like that. I hope that you can tell what I'm doing here. So basically you're just sitting them all into one little signature. These are called signatures when you put all the papers together like this. So with this one, I think I'm going to go with, let's go with this big envelope in here. So that, I think I'm going to turn it that way. So we're going to put the envelope in there. Now I'm going to choose, just a plain white piece, I think. And let's pop in. I will often get my small pieces, like those, probably not that, but the envelopes, the plastic piece and those small scrapbook paper pieces, and I'll add them back in at the end. So I'll show you what I do with them in a moment, but we're going to just put my main pages in first. So we've got plain white here. Let's put this kind of grey piece in. Let's go ahead and put in this next piece of grid, the green grid, into there. Next we'll put in a smaller cream piece and then a big white piece. Like I said, I want to keep them really varied. I don't want them to all look matching to each other. I want them to kind of have a good amount of variety. Let's see if I can open this up. There we go. Let's add in this grid. And then we're going to add this piece, no, this piece here. Yeah, this one here. So it's white on that side because I just printed it on white copy paper, but on the inside it's very patterned. Then we're going to add that small cream piece in here. And then maybe this piece here. And then in the middle we've got a white bit. Right, so that's all of our main pages. And they've all got a spot in the journal now. So that is our signature that we're going to bind in. But I want to add in these few smaller little bits into here as well. One more thing I forgot to mention, when putting these together, it's important that you know, like if you're doing a month-long journal, it's important kind of that you have the right number of papers. So for me, every day I like to do a full spread. So what that looks like in my journals is, say this is one day here, I want the 2 pages to be just one day, and that could look different on like a different size on every day, but here's one day, but it does have a small bit in the middle. Sometimes I like that, sometimes I just want it to be one spread, but for me it's at least 2 pages. I never just keep a day on one page like that, so I know that I need to have at least 15 to 16 pieces of paper in my journal to make enough full spreads, because each one piece of paper will have the front side and the back side of it, so that will be kind of like 2 days per paper. I hope that makes sense. Let me demonstrate it in this book. So if this is my first day here, one spread is my day 1, then day 2 will be here, but you can see that this page was used twice, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you want to have at least, for a month, if you're doing a whole spread, you want to have at least 15 or 16 pieces of paper so that you get at least 30 to 31, 32 full spreads for your journal. If you are just going to stick to one page, you can half that. So you can just have like 7 or 8 pieces of paper in your journal if you're just planning on having one page, like one day and then the next day like that. It's totally up to you and how you like to journal. So I just want to check that my pages in the middle here are not going to be sticking out too far. See, you can see they are. I need to trim down some of my pages to make sure that they fit. And the reason that happens is because the middle pages, I don't know if you can see this, but the middle paper gets pushed out a lot because of all of the other pages in here. It gets bulky and it pushes them out. So what I'm going to do is the absolute way I do it every time for my own journal, and how I would never do it if I was making a proper journal for somebody else. I straight up get my scissors and just cut. And it's so wonky, and I don't care a bit, because this is my journal for me, and I am someone who loves imperfect, wonky looking stuff. So for me, this is totally fine. But if I was making a journal for you, if you've ever bought a journal from me, don't worry, I do this properly. And I get out each page and I use my paper cutter and I do it properly. So I will do it properly if I'm making it for somebody else. But when it's for me, I don't care. I don't care at all. It's just my journal. So now they kind of fit in all right. They still stick out a bit, but it's fine enough for me. What we're going to do now is I wanted to add in these little bits before we bind it. So I'm just going to go and find a page that looks a little plain to me. So here's one that I'm thinking, it's a little boring. Let's go ahead and add in a small paper into there. So it gives us a little extra room to write if we wanted, and it adds a little bit of colour. So again, this one's quite boring. I don't really think that I need another envelope there though, so because this part here is an envelope. So let's just add this little scrapbooking paper piece in, and it just adds a little pop of colour and a little extra space. Okay, where else are we thinking? Maybe here. So here I'm going to just tuck that little black part in there, so the flap of the envelope becomes its own little page. And then have we got any more spots? Here we go. This one looks quite boring too, so let's go ahead and add that brown part in. And here, this one's boring. This isn't going to add a lot of interest to the paper, but it does add a little bit of interest to what I can do with the page. Okay, so now we've got everything tucked in. Beauty, 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 beauty. That's feeling really, really good. It's very chunky. It doesn't look chunky yet, but this will end up potentially, or for me anyway, it'll end up well and truly a lot bigger by the time it is full. So it's feeling good at the moment. It needs to be quite flat to start with because it will fill up with your life very quickly. So there we go. We've got everything in there. I do think now that I've added those little bits, it's pushed everything out again. So I am going to just give it a little bit more of a trim. Just a wee bit more. Done. I'm that careful with my journal. I'm that careful. I don't even think about it, honestly. So there we go. We have our pages and we have our cover. Now it's time to show you guys how we go ahead and bind this. So I'm just checking that I'm still filming. Yes, I am. Oh my goodness, it's been just about 50 minutes of me putting this together. My gosh. Okay, I do want to trim that a tiny bit more. I'm being so fussy. But, I mean, also at the same time, not really, because look at how fussy I am at cutting neatly. Not even a little bit fussy with cutting neatly. Okay, so let's just get that trimmed. Done. Really beautiful. Okay, now let's go ahead and bind it. Other people will show you how to do this way better than me, so please feel free to find a better teacher on how to bind a journal, because as you can see, I am not careful with my binding. I have a bunch of these needles in here. I love these great big long needles for my binding. You want one that has a decent chunky needle with an eye, but it has to have a sharp end. I have bought so many needles thinking they've got great nice sized eyes to thread my thread through, and then they're so blunt and they don't push through the cardstock. I know a lot of other people will punch holes already using an awl or something like that. I don't. When I am making a journal, I just make it as I go. So I've chosen a needle. I'm going to use, shall we use this? We'll use this black thread. This thread isn't very good. To be honest, it's not very good, but it's my journal, so it's fine. So what we're going to do here is to measure out how much thread you need. You get the length, or you know, the height of your journal, and you've got to do times 3. So 1, 2, 3, and you can see I am giving it a generous 3. I like to make sure that there is plenty, and I often will add just a bit more because I do want to make sure that I have enough thread. But 3 times your journal will be enough. It will be enough to bind your journal. So that's just a good rule of thumb, that 3 times the length of your journal, 1, 2, 3 will be enough. And I've added just a bit more on there just to be sure. Because I might do something weird and end up needing to trim the thread or something, you know. So we've threaded our Normo needle. This needle is huge. Look, it's like almost the width of my book. Like, it's big. It's my hand here. Like, it's a big needle. You do not need a big needle. You just need one that is got a good, decent sized eye and a sharp end. That's it. Okay, so what I do now is we open our book up to the middle of the signature. So remember, our signature is our group of pages tucked inside each other. So here's our signature middle. What we're going to need to do though is make sure that all of our folds are lined up. I've got it all wonky. So we want our folds, you know, to be all kind of pushed into the middle so that they work together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try pushing my needle right through the middle here. Just got to really, it's quite a lot of effort to push it through, but it is going through. You can see it poking through there. That worked really well. Like, it's come out again right on that fold. That's where you want it to be, on the fold. So now we've got our pages pushed through there. I will pop this back on here so that I can kind of line it up and see where we're going here. And I am going to get our pages all in order. Like, you've got to keep checking that your folds fit inside your folds. You don't want them getting all askew and wonky. So from here, I'm just going to go, okay, I can see that's where it needs to go through into the cover, because that's where it lines up. Bam, done. This is how easy it actually is. Other people can make this look more complicated. It's not that hard, and you don't need fancy tools. I literally just have a chunky needle that I got from a cheap shop. Like, I got this from a $2 shop. I know that they call them different things in other countries, but it's basically like your standard Dollar Tree or dollar store. Dollar store. I don't know what they're called in other countries. We call them a $2 shop here because in New Zealand everything's $2 or more. You do not get dollar stores here, I wish. But just got one of these from there. It works perfectly fine. Right, so we've got a bit of thread. Don't let your thread go right the way through. Keep a bit out, because obviously that would be pointless if it went right the way through. So now we're going to come up the spine, or you can go down. It doesn't actually matter which way you go, but I go up most commonly. So now we're going to go up, and we're going to go in like a wee ways down. So I'm going down probably about 1 inch from the top. You can go down 1 centimeter from the top. You can go down a heap from the top. It's up to you. I'm going down about 1 inch. It depends completely on the size of your book and what you like, because it's your journal and you can do what you like. So I just poke through the cover there. Easy. Easy peasy, like that. So now we've got our thread coming through in one like big stitch up the spine there. So now, again, get your papers all lined up. Don't forget that, because they move, and I am so like crazy wonky with my stitching and the way I manhandle my journals. So line them all back up so that they all fit really nicely. Line up your previous hole, so this hole in the cover with your hole on the spine, and then you can see where this hole in the cover is going to go into the paper there, and I just push it right through. Let's see how we're looking. Perfect. It came right through on there, and this takes a bit of practice. This, I could not line my covers up for the longest time. It took me a while before I felt really confident in binding like this, because it's a new skill, and all new skills take a little bit of time to learn. So don't be worried if for you it's not turning out perfectly every time. A lot of people I know use clips, and that's not a dumb idea. You could be clipping here and here with like binder clip things. Do I have any on hand? I don't, but I do have, if I can get it out here, a clothing peg. You could totally use that at the top and bottom. Put a little peg there. That way they won't shift around so much when you're trying to line everything up. I'm going to just continue with the peg just to see how it works, because I haven't tried it with pegs before. So lining up all my papers and the fold of the cover here, putting those pegs on, right on that fold, and now they shouldn't shift around too badly. Okay, so as you can see, we went through the middle, we came around in there, and we've gone back into the middle. I hope this is making sense so far. Now we're going down to about the same distance. You could measure if you wanted them to be really exact. You guys have seen how much I care about exact and how much I care about perfection in my own journal. Not at all. So we're just going to just eyeball it. Like, it's like that far down, so like that far down. You know, it works. And now we're just going to go ahead and push the needle right through. I can see it's coming out in the right spot, which is really good. There we go. Pushed right through. Easy as that. These pegs are actually working pretty well. So I recommend maybe pegs, or I don't know, whatever you've got that clips. But clothing pegs are working for me. So if that's all you've got, that's perfectly fine. Most people have laundry pegs. So yeah, it works. Okay, now we're back out this side. What we're going to do is we're going to come back in through that middle hole that we went through the first time. So we're going to just try and line it up and try and get it to go through that same hole into our journal here. And then we're going to go through that same hole through our pages as well, if we can figure it out. So pushing that through there. Okay, it's not quite lining up for me, which is fine. This happens most times when I'm trying to go back through the one hole. I just will go through a few pages at a time. And this works really fine. So just pushing it through. Oh, I wonder how many if we got through to the middle there. Yes, we did. We went through to the middle this time. So you can go through just a few pages at a time if you want, if you're more comfortable with that. Or it might push right through and you might just nail it on the first attempt. And that's always so good when you do. Okay. So now we're in the middle. We're done with the needle. Needle's done. Away it goes. So now we can, what we've got here is our 2 strings coming out and our thread that goes right through the middle here. What you want to do is have one of these loose threads either side of that middle thread. You can see here this middle thread's really loose. We don't want it to be loose, so pull on your strings just gently so that it is tighter in the middle. We don't want it to be too loose. Check your outside. They want to be nice and tight. There should be 2 stitches here. You want them to be nice and tight too. Right, so we've got our threads on either side of this big stitch through the middle, and we just simply tie a knot. So I will just tie a really regular knot. I'm sure you guys can see what I did there. It's just a normal knot. 1, another one, around and through, 2, and sometimes I'll do 3. It doesn't really matter. But at least 2. You want at least 2 to make sure it's really secure. So now we've got our journal. I'm going to just, wait, which side's the cover? It goes up this way. I'm just going to tie a little bow. You do not have to. I just am because I like that. And it's my journal and I like it. So, little bow tied and your journal's done. Bam! We've got a journal made. Easy as that. That's my May journal. All completed, guys. I can see this is peeling up a tiny bit there. So, I'm just going to go back in with my glue stick and get that a little more secure. But that is May journal already all done, ready to go for May. So excited to get started on this one. This one's such a cute little journal. I cannot wait to play in it. I hope you guys found this useful. It's just, this is how I do my single signature monthly journals. You do not have to do them like this. You absolutely can make more elaborate journals with multiple signatures and have them last for ages and ages. Those are beautiful journals too, don't get me wrong, but this is what is working for me, and I just thought I would share that with you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye!